All right, so with us going into a dead week, sort of, there's really no new content or anything like that. And although there are some, interesting things and stuff like that that we can still do, whether it be the ReZero collab stuff or there's a final boss going on, etc. I wanted to just go into some smaller sort of topics maybe throughout the week and maybe just do some sort of PvP showcases and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that at all, I guess stay tuned. But today I wanted to go over my Hell Demon teams because I feel like they've definitely changed a lot over the past couple of months and everything like that since we've gotten Hell Demons. And so here's kind of what I'm working with. So if we switch over to Hell, obviously the big thing with Hell difficulty is you can only use characters of that color, of course. So I'm pretty sure you can still, no, you can actually use other colors besides that in regular. I only play Hell difficulty at this point, so I kind of forget the basic mechanics to it. But yeah, so obviously the one Escanor is just absolutely god tier for this because the Red Demon is pretty tanky. He has 3 different phases that you have to go through, and it's just a matter of just like kind of whittling him down. The best thing about Red Demon, of course, is the fact that you can like stun, freeze, petrify, etc. So obviously, I don't think it's the greatest option at the moment, but I've been messing around with it a lot with Amelia on the team. I think that you can definitely just run Goddess Liz. I used her for a long time. She kind of has like almost better benefits as well because you can use her ultimate to sort of reflect damage, which honestly it doesn't come in the greatest handy because most of the time, unless he uses like an AoE move, it's really not going to reflect all that much on him. But there have been times where I've used Goddess Liz and he has killed himself on a single target attack before. The shield is kind of nice if the demon ends up getting you kind of low, and you have at level 2 a stun to kind of get rid of his stance and everything like that he does on, I think it's turn 2 of each phase, which is kind of nice. But I've kind of switched over to Amelia because she can freeze at level 1, and obviously that'll get rid of any sort of stances or anything like that, and it's just a nice sort of like immobilized skill that I can use. Her regular attack card ends up coming in pretty short. Most of the time it ends up getting Patience, but I'm sure if I ran like a better set with her, like I'm running an HP defense set with her, which is probably not the greatest set that you would want to run with Amelia. I know a lot of people rely on her ult for big damage, so if I were to run like an attack defense set or something along those lines, I could maybe get some more potential out of her, but I kind of see her as more of a support unit, so I'm just running HP defense at the moment. I may end up changing that sometime in the future, but yeah, her single target attack gets Patience to launch, so it's not really all that helpful. Her actual passive, which makes her really good, is actually disabled in deathmatch, so you can't even use the whole like if she gets attacked twice in one turn it freezes the enemy. That actually doesn't work, which is not the biggest deal because most of the time I'm just using regular freeze cards, but it is kind of a noteworthy thing. I wouldn't really recommend Amelia over maybe Goddess Liz if you already have her, or you could even use like well, you can't use Red Merlin because she's red, but I don't know, Blue King, whoever you want to run as far as like using somebody to kind of get the stances off and immobilize the character if you need to, is really helpful. Other than that, I'm running Blue Easton, which I know not everybody has. You can definitely just run like a damage dealer, or I know a lot of people run kind of like a Blue Bon or something like that to sort of like lower defense stats, etc. I use Blue Easton just to like put an attack related stats buff on me and my ally, so that way our Escanors can end up doing more damage. I did actually run Blue Jericho for a little bit on the team, and she does pretty good too because she buffs blue units, I think it's attack related stats by 10%. And if you don't have Zenari for the sort of like cosmetic cosmetic upgrade bonus, then you could probably just run Blue Jericho in the back and then have either Easton or another damage dealer or something like that up front. And you probably would push phases a lot faster that way, but I have Zenari and I think it's really helpful to get extra cosmetic upgrades and stuff like that, so I definitely run those cosmetic upgrade units on all of my teams just because I have the luxury of having them. I know a lot of people have not been able to get these units because they come around so few and far between, so you can definitely just swap these out for somebody like like Blue Jericho to do more damage for your blue team. If I'm not mistaken, Red Jericho buffs red units, and then there's not really one for the green units as far as Jerichos go, but you can maybe use like Alioni or somebody like that, maybe Kane, because he actually buffs. I think he buffs all units in deathmatch specifically, so he's actually pretty decent for it. But yeah, that's pretty much the Hell Demon or the Red Demon team. So we'll move on. We have the Great Demon team. This one is a really tough one for a lot of people to really come up with like a decent team, because although the Great Demon only has 2 phases, he's really annoying because you can't hit him with physical or like close range attacks if he's flying, because they'll just get patience or evaded. So that is really annoying. So it makes it to where you have to use ranged attacks, which is kind of a problem. I know a lot of people just use Green King as the sort of main damage dealer there. I was using Green King up until Festival Merlin came out. I just prefer Festival Merlin for like the more like one-shot potential and everything like that. So I do run Jenna in the back. And you know, she's just for the cosmetic upgrade. She's actually not a great unit. I've just recently gotten all of these cosmetic units up to level 80 to just kind of help with CC a little bit. And yeah, so the big gimmick with this team is that obviously I have Gother. If you don't have green Gother, it's a really tough call on what you should bring, because obviously you can't use red Gother in hell difficulty. And I think a lot of people end up opting out for the sort of green Liz play, just because you can rush her ultimate, and it'll give 2 ultimate gauges to everyone that gets affected by the ultimate. So it's really nice for just like ult rush in general. And I think that play still kind of holds up a lot. Like people will run green Liz and Escanor, and I think that team is fine. Like there's no real like issues with it, as long as like maybe both of you aren't running that team, because it might end up going sour. But for my team specifically, with using Festival Merlin, it's kind of it's either really good or pretty bad, because if I can start off with 2 of Merlin's single target abilities, like first turn, then it's really good, because I can either use one of those to burst down the first phase, or I can just try to save my cards, the single targets at least, and let my teammate sort of push the first phase while I get ready with a lot of damage to go into the second phase with. And I think that's the safer play to go with on this one. But a lot of the times, depending on what my teammate has or anything like that, it can go a lot slower, and I'll end up having to use the single target ability cards to push first phase, which then makes it to where I don't have them for the second phase. And in the second phase, he's definitely a lot tankier. So yeah, it can be pretty rough sometimes. I literally only use Green Liz for that first turn rank up, because then it makes it to where I start with a level 2 rank up on Gother, and I can use that to get my teammates' cards up 1 stage, and I'll go to 3rd stage on all of my cards at the very beginning of the match, which is really nice. I actually run Green Liz with 0 gear at all. I just take all of the gear off of her, because honestly, your hand gets so clogged up with cards from her that it is absolutely terrible. So I try to make sure that she has the most potential of dying if possible. Whenever they released the banner for her, she was already at UR level 80 and 6-star. I think in hindsight, if I had the choice, I would probably just not upgrade her at all, and rather have Jenna come in and sacrifice 1 card in hand from losing a character, because like I don't know why, but it always like it never fails that my hand gets completely clogged up with these like close quarters, like close combat cards that I can't use on the Grey Demon, because he's either flying or they just don't end up dealing a lot of damage. I've put gear on her in the past to try to use those cards, and it does like nothing. And like the best damage she can even do is using her ultimate, and it's still pretty lackluster. So I do not like this unit I hate that this unit is literally just used for Grey Demon. It's really annoying. I hate that so much, because she literally doesn't have the kit to compete with the Grey Demon. So it's just her passive, and then after that, like after the first turn and the match starts, she's literally useless, and I hate it. but it is kind of a nice like setup for the rest of the team, so I run it. I could obviously just run something else. This team pairs really well with somebody using either Gil Thunder or Hellbrum, Green Hellbrum, because they have either attack stat boosts or attack related stat boosts, depending on which unit you're using. And those can come in really handy because like I'm already running Sariel as the link for Merlin, and if I can crit, most of the time, even without the buff, I can kill first turn with one card if I crit. But with the Gil Thunder or Hellbrum buff, normally I can one-shot regardless of crit, and going into the second phase, if I have it and I have 2 cards at least that are both gold, I can normally kill the demon in 1 turn on phase 2. So that ends up pairing really well with this team, I think. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, I really don't have any control over what my teammate brings unless I'm like inviting a specific player. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, Grey Demon is the like probably the hardest of the Hell Demons as far as I'm concerned, just because there's not a very good consistent team that you can really have that does like excellent in it. Like, I don't know, every team that I've used so far has its downfalls. Like even using the Green King team, if you can't ramp up enough or you just don't get crits or whatever that you need, he just ends up falling off pretty hard on damage. So moving on, right now I've actually got Rim on the team. I don't really think she's all that great. I think I'm going to switch that back to Sariel because honestly Sariel is just that much better of a unit. You could probably use anybody here. I was using Red Demon Meliodas for a while because Demon Meliodas is boosted for these fights as far as like the Howlex fight goes. So I was using Red Demon Melee to sort of apply ignite stacks and stuff like that, which was kind of nice. And I mean, it was okay. It wasn't anything like super crazy. He did well, but I think Sariel just does a lot more damage as far as his single target cards goes and stuff like that. Obviously, I think this team honestly has changed the least out of any of the teams, just because Derriere is just so good as a unit for PvE that it's literally just, you know the gimmick. It's literally just build up stacks as much as you can with Derriere. Once it hits the last phase, you ult, you kill, you're done, you're good to go. So yeah, I don't think that there's a whole lot of room for improvement on this team, to be honest, unless there's just some new red unit that comes out that deals absolutely massive damage. So yeah, Sariel is pretty good on the team. You can run Lost Vein. I don't really prefer Lost Vein on the team. His ult does okay. His single target does okay. His AoE honestly doesn't do great because it's an AoE skill on a single unit. But I don't know. Honestly, it's not bad. You can still end up pulling out some pretty decent damage. Everybody and their brother has Red Gother at this point. If you don't, please buy him from the coin shop. You definitely want both of your units or both of your teams to be able to upgrade. It's just really nice and helpful. And then obviously I'm running the Elaine in the back for the cosmetic upgrades. But yeah, Derriere literally does all the work on this team. It's not, I would be willing to bet that this is the easiest demon and the most consistent demon. The only thing that ends up falling short sometimes is if you just get bad RNG and don't pull cards and your stacks end up falling off with Derriere. The only other notable thing is that I do want to say that you could probably switch out Easton on the red demon team if you have. I doubt a lot of players do, but I do run into one every so often that is running the blue Halloween Elaine, because she actually has, oh, I didn't mean to click on anybody. She actually has a buff card. I don't have this unit because I didn't summon on the festival or the Halloween banner when it came out, but she has a buff card which actually puts your attack up by 30% for 2 turns, 40% for 2 turns, and then 60% for 2 turns, which is a really nice buff. Like I said, I don't see a lot of players that use this unit because I don't think a lot of players have this unit. Her single target ability, from what I've seen, it's an AoE, so it does pretty lackluster damage, and most of the time ends up getting patience on the demon. But this buff is insanely good. Like, I think that buff is really, really, really good. If you have the unit and you have it already powered up, or you're considering powering it up for the Red Demon, I definitely recommend it because I think that there's some really good potential and sort of like just gameplay that comes out of using that unit. If I had her, I would definitely upgrade her at this point to try to use it, but until she comes back, or I don't know, just ends up being put on a different banner that I end up getting her off of. I don't have her. So that is basically it. I don't really know what else to go over as far as what I'm going to be doing this week. So if you have any suggestions on anything from my account that you would like to see, or any sort of just content in general that you have an idea for, that you want me to make a video on, feel free to leave it down in the comments. I'd be happy to look at it, and if it's reasonable and it doesn't cost me a bunch of resources or anything like that, then I'd be happy to try and accommodate for it. So that is basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe for more content in the future, and I will see you guys in the next video.